We are live, and I am here with the next candidate of our dreams. But before he introduces himself, I want to introduce this series for anyone who is new or will be listening back later and is like, what is all of this about? My name is Kate Powell. I am with the platform Kate for the People, and this is the Candidates of Our Dreams series. We are talking to candidates from all over the country who are progressive, pro democracy, don't like fascism, like just the basics of having a sustainable government. And we are here for two different reasons. One is that we are here to do homework, as I tell everybody at the beginning of these. I'm sure we will be incredibly entertaining, but after we're done entertaining you, you need to get to work. You need to plug into races, especially if you're in a situation where you're chilling, you're enjoying, like maybe your congressional district is great, you love your rep, you're happy with that, that's all safe, you feel like there's not a whole lot of campaigning that needs to be done in your district. That's great. That's great for you. You need to find a different race and get involved because democracy is a group project and it is also not a spectator sport. Um, Secondly, this is not a purity politics area at all. So we will be going through issues. I am a very issues focused person as an independent who is affiliated with neither party. I believe that, and most of the electorate actually being that way as well. We do focus issue by issue, but that doesn't mean that there is only one right way to tackle a single issue. There's usually a lot of nuance and complexity, even on things where we might be a hard no on something. The way we can get to that policy wise can look very different depending on who you're talking to, and honestly, just depending on what's realistic right now versus 4 years from now. So we want to be open to conversation about where candidates are right now, what they see being able to do in January when they are hopefully elected to office, and then also their long-term dreams and plans. And we don't want to get into these conversations where we're like, you must do it this way, because that's not how politics works at all. So with all of that being said, all of that lead up, we've got some people in the room now. John, please introduce yourself to the people.
Okay, thank you, Kate. That's an amazing introduction there. A lot of energy. I love it. So my name is John Shu. I am from Edison, New Jersey. Edison's pretty kind of well known throughout the country. There's a lot of good Asian food, that type of thing.
Mhm.
Very diverse town as well. So I'm running for Congress in New Jersey's 6th district, and the primary is June 2nd. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah. Is there
And
anything else that
how
is?
many what does your primary look like right now? How many candidates are in it? And then we
Yeah.
can go right into why are you running for it?
Sure, sure. So there's one other candidate, Katie Bansel, and it's great. I think democracy is great. More choices is very important. I do wish we had ranked choice voting, which is something I am a big supporter of. I've worked with the ranked choice voting group in New Jersey. Like we've had like this rank your desserts and just to illustrate how how ranked choice voting works. And a lot of them are friends and supporters of mine as well. So I do believe in that. But I'll just say, like, I love our campaign, what we're doing. We have some awesome volunteers, dozens of people going out canvassing, people helping with social media, making social media so much better than we had originally. So I'm just so appreciative of the people in our campaign.
Amazing. And so you and Katie Bonsall are in the primary, but that means you're also against the incumbent, right? Like in
Yes,
the
it's a
okay.
bit.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure. So Frank Pallone, right, is your incumbent.
that's right.
Okay.
Frank Pallone.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Awesome. So what got you running against the incumbent Frank Pallone? Because he's a Democrat. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
obviously, we could look at it from like a 30,000 foot view and be like, oh, it's blue. What's the big
yeah.
deal? So why do you feel like it's important to run against Pallone?
Yeah, I'll just say that it's hard to trust a representative to take care of our needs back at home if they are sending bombs and weapons overseas.
Mm,
He is a big supporter of Israel. He denies a genocide, and I think that's a good starting point. That might not be everyone's top issue, but I think it's an important moral issue, and it's also a indicator of where your values lie.
right.
Um, so we started basically. I'll just start pull back a little bit. I ran 2 years ago for a 3-month campaign,
Mm,
and you can imagine that's a very short campaign. We did that because I was doing outreach to different mosques in my district, Like I said earlier, we have a amazing, diverse district. Uh, Muslim people, South Asian, Hindu, Jewish, Catholic, like everything. It's just one of the best things about our district, right? So I was doing some outreach with the different mosques, and they were very concerned about what was happening in Gaza. So I
Mm.
talked to them about that, and I asked the community, "Oh, do you have anyone that in your community that could run?" And they did not. And so I, volunteered to do that. I've been doing a lot of electoral uh, uh, electoral work in our district for years, and had a lot of experience in that. And I felt like I wanted to step in for them to give them a choice at that crucial time.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that's what happened, and we we did 17% of the vote after a short 3-month campaign. But we wanted to do it again. This time we started last April we started, so we were able to build up our team this time. So we have a big difference in our campaign this time. Like our volunteers, like I said earlier, are just really great, and we're doing really well. We talked to thousands of people already, so this is going to be a different campaign.
Awesome. So why, like, I guess I want to know more about your background. Like, did you come from a policy? Are you something else? Like, tell us more about John.
Yeah, I was a Bernie Sanders delegate in 2020.
Okay.
I coordinated the Bernie Sanders campaign most of New Jersey, particularly in our district, in our congressional district. I traveled to Iowa. I traveled to New Hampshire. Was able to canvass there and see the presidential election up close. Um, yeah, so I did that. After that was over, I continued organizing. We helped stop a power plant in a local area that would have been affected lower class and
Of
lower
course.
income folks,
As it does,
as,
usually.
as it does, yeah.
Yeah.
And I helped the nurses quite a lot. They were on strike at this hospital called Robert Wood Johnson, New Brunswick, and that's in New Brunswick, close to Rutgers. And I spent hours with them, 20 hours a week, showing them how to go to council meetings to speak on their issue, and bringing them to Trenton, that's the state capital, and to help them lobby and to support their bill. And their bill was a safe staffing bill, because in New Jersey, we don't have required safe staffing levels, patient to nurse ratios, and that's very important.
You don't
So
have required staffing levels?
we don't know. I know California has it. But actually, yeah. What state are you in?
I'm in Virginia, and
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, they're not they're not low enough, but they we wow, okay. Like,
it's a little crazy. I mean,
yeah.
the union sometimes, there's a, you say the free market doesn't work.
No.
Yeah, it was a bad situation. That's why they were on strike, and then we had to educate the public on that. And
Right.
I was trying to help them educate the public, helping them connect with local officials, help them using my personal connections, getting a couple of state senators on the bill
Mhm.
to support that bill. We didn't quite make it, but the hospital system, the insurance system is very powerful in New Jersey. So
Got it.
that's
Okay.
that is our circumstances here. So
That is fascinating. So thank you for
yeah.
enlightening me on that, because I thought that ratios were just like a thing that everybody had. I guess
No, it's not.
for granted.
It's
Okay.
not.
New tidbit about New Jersey. Thank you for sharing. And I think that it's funny. I think this is a great like object lesson of, just because a state is blue,
Right.
or a district is blue, or a rep is blue, or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that like all's well in the universe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, compared to what is running around the White House and Congress right now, better, right? Like, we understand. I talk about harm reduction all the time, right? What's the least harmful thing? What's the most stuff that we can mitigate at this moment?
Hmm. Hmm.
But we should always be dreaming of better, obviously, and
Hmm.
having long term
Hmm.
goals. So thank you for sharing all of that. That makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, we are now at the point in the interview where I put you through the candidates of our dreams battery here. Going to go
Sure.
one by one. And you are free to answer this. Nobody rehearsed, anyone who's listening. We didn't rehearse any of this beforehand. So, if John and I start exchanging blows, this is totally, this is real, the reality TV. I'm just kidding. All right. So first of all, number one, John, the candidate of our dreams takes $0 in corporate campaign money.
Yes. Well, that's easy. I mean, we
Okay.
don't take corporate money. We don't take APAC money. We don't take corporate PAC money.
Mm,
Our opponent, he received 60% of his donations are corporate PAC donations, and 39%, the rest of that is large donations, donations over $200.
right.
So he is not a person of the people at all. Yeah, so we will maintain that stance. And also, there's another thing. Like, if we win, are we going to take the easy way out, right? Start taking that money ourselves.
Right.
So I will not do that. I do not
Okay.
do that. I like to do things the hard way. Not really, but I like to do things the right way that allows me to be free to say what I want to
Right.
say and to push for the things I want to push for.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess one example, like I was asked to run for a council seat, right? And I knew that if I were to align with uh, this group, that they would not want me to be speaking up like I have been
Right.
and all that. So I decided not to do that, and I thought it's probably best not to align there.
Yeah.
And they did win their race, but I think it was the best choice.
Yeah. Well, and I'm very pragmatic economically when it comes to messaging. So like I understand that you know, I think it's difficult in the first of all, we live in the information age. I think it's difficult in this age where, realistically, when you're talking to journalists or even influencers like myself, people are purchasing messaging. Like that is a normal part of the process. I'm not saying it's always right. I'm not always saying the messaging is great, but it is what's happening. However, when it comes to elected officials, I think that's what's happened is the lines have really gotten blurred there.
Hmm.
Of like there's a difference between someone who is going to be casting a vote and making policy,
I agree.
uh, you know, taking a contribution from a group versus like a journalist or a messenger or something like that. So it can get even if you agree with the policy, like it can just get tricky because it's like, well, what if you need to turn around and criticize that person? Like, are they going to are they going to turn around and be like, what about the purse strings? So
Hmm. Hmm.
it's definitely tricky. And you know, I say $0 in corporate campaign money in particular because of the fact that we have Citizens United and corporate
Okay.
donations are just out of control, right? Like there's just no way to control for them anymore. And we can't have this. but
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, that makes a lot of sense that you're like, this is just I don't feel like I would be able to present my best votes for policy if,
Mm.
taking these contributions. So
Certainly, certainly. I'll add one more thing.
mhm,
We've had hundreds of donations, and our donations are basically in our district and maybe one district over. Like,
right.
we are just so grassroots. Like, we're so connected with the community that they're supporting us really well, and I'm really proud of that. And hopefully, we win. We have larger reach, and we'll be able to get more donations through the grassroots with our larger reach in the
Right.
future.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right. Number two, the candidate of our dreams term limits themselves and advances term limit legislation.
Okay. I think, I would support that. We saw with Dianne Feinstein in California,
Mhm.
and she really could not continue legislating,
Right.
and her staffers, her party pushed her forward, um, and a lot of people were not aware. People, however, whatever happened in that election, and she was elected, and she was not able to do anything. So that's a really good example of that. There are some other examples. Like, I do like Bernie, and I do like Elizabeth Warren quite a lot. Um, the best, in my opinion, the best congressperson in New Jersey was Bonnie Watson Coleman, and she was 82, and she's retiring this year. So I'm glad she's doing that for herself.
Hmm.
But she has been the best standing on all the issues. Um, so yeah, it's a balance, right? So I think I would support that. I would vote for that. But yeah, we have to think about those issues too, and we also have to think about the young people that the leadership of the party who might not be aligned with the members of the party. like
Right.
who they're going to push forward. Like I know, I have in my mind like who they're looking for. You can kind of tell like who they're trying to groom for the position, and it's a little bit scary. Like I would not want those folks to be our representative, and they're pretty young. So we need to address those issues too. I just have to bring that up because that is a concern of mine.
Yeah, no, I think that, I've talked to a lot of candidates about the idea of like the bench, who is going to be like stepping up to the office and it's not good enough to just say, "Oh, let's have term limits."
Mm,
Because if nobody is thinking about like the succession and,
yeah,
people who are ready to take on the office and who's going to stay on staff maybe or just be a source of institutional knowledge. If
yeah,
if you don't do any of that as a party, as a coalition, whatever,
yeah, yeah.
then
I
it
feel you.
it does turn into a mess, right? Like
Yeah,
it's right. As I said earlier in this interview, complexity is throughout all of
yeah.
these issues. There is no like, okay, we just do that and we've solved all of our problems. Like
Yeah,
we don't
it doesn't do that. Yeah. So I'm really proud of our campaign. Like we have these college students and high school students, and one of the high school students wants to organize like a mini leadership conference. Um, a lot of them have led these walkouts
mm,
um, from their schools, and I was able to join them. Actually, I met one of our volunteers through the walkout. Um, yeah, so I believe that mentorship is very important, and I am looking to help produce the next generation of progressives and activists in our area. And that's win or lose. That's what we're going to do. That's what I'm going to do, and with my friends here in CD6. But yeah, that's definitely where the direction we'll be headed in.
fantastic. All right. Number three, the candidate of our dreams reasserts their power over the Supreme Court.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think the Supreme Court has overstepped their power. I think term maybe a limit would be good. Retirement age would perhaps be good. Um, I think it can be dangerous if you're trying to time, when to retire, based on like who's going to be the president. I think that's an issue. I think we're in a different time than when those rules were first introduced.
Correct.
And I'm not against, I'm actually not against the activism too. I think when FDR, when he was pushing forward for his policies and
Hmm.
the Supreme Court kept trying to block it, and he just threatened to expand the court. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you can't. So yeah, use any means necessary to push for your good, positive agenda. I think I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I that's one of my favorite stories is FDR, who I don't like, by the way. That's one of those things that gets me in trouble with some liberals is I am not a huge fan of FDR, but I think he was a
Mhm.
genius. And one of the things that he was a genius at was the bully pulpit. And using that
Mhm.
to threaten the Supreme Court of like, okay, well, if you're not going to let me get through the New Deal, then I guess I just add a bunch more justices and we'll go from there. And then all of the sudden, they had no problem with his policies.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say they had no problem. They were still split, but the Chief Justice flipped over to start, to placate. And I don't think FDR ever had any intention of packing the court. He was just trying to make it clear, like, to the public who the problem was, right? And then they
Mhm.
kind of scuttle back. I mean, we're even seeing that now because I think the Supreme Court, even today, as much as they try to act like they're untouchable, you'll see them strategically decide
Mhm.
things to kind of be like, don't, nothing to see over here. Don't look at Sam Alito or Clarence Thomas or whatever, like being crazy. We're moderate. We're, apolitical or whatever. They're not apolitical, but they're trying to sell that fiction to the general public who isn't paying attention, and so they are absolutely sensitive to public
Right.
opinion. People think that they're not, and I'm like, no, 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 they're very aware of their popularity.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a very
um
good point. Very good
yeah.
point.
All right, number 4 and 5 I always do together. So number
Okay.
4 is raises wages and reinstates corporate tax marginalization at the same time, and then number 5 is increases tax marginalization for high net worth individuals. I want to know more about your tax policy.
Okay. Oh, definitely. We definitely well, let's go with the income. We definitely support minimum wage
Mhm.
here. One of one of my favorite stories was was in Seattle, the councilwoman who was trying to push for a $15 minimum wage, and she was getting a lot of pushback from the other council people, and they were able to use the people power and organizing to get that done, and they were able to pass $15 minimum wage, the first city in the country to do so. And we need a higher minimum wage at this point now. Things are getting crazy. The costs are getting crazy as well. So that's where I stand there. In terms of tax policy, I support repealing the Bush tax cuts. I know a lot of people don't talk about that anymore. Um, but I remember being being a young person who cared about tax policy. Sorry, um, that that was a driver of the income inequality at the time,
Yep.
and it persists until now, and that's why Warren Buffett, right, has a lower tax rate than his secretary, which is crazy.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely repeal the Bush tax cuts. I would repeal all the Trump tax cuts. And they're like private equity. They have I think the pass-through tax. I forgot the exact name, but private equity has these tax advantages. I
Hmm.
definitely definitely oppose.
Well,
Yeah, so
it's the pass through to the individual. So if you're a pass through entity, the taxes flow through the entity to you as the person. And if the high net worth individuals topped out at like whatever 37% or whatever it is for the top line, then they end up skirting it. So it's
yeah,
enraging actually. But
yeah, no, totally. Yeah, so I oppose that. I know private equities are not going to be a fan of mine, um, but that's okay. Yeah, and then the Bush tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts. Wealth tax. I think the wealth tax would be
how
appropriate
would
at
you
this
do a
time.
wealth tax?
How much would I do?
How would you do wealth tax? Because that's always like a big sticking point. People are like, how would you do that?
Yeah,
So I want to know.
yeah, yeah. I would consider equity, stock equity. I would consider that. Um, I think certain types of properties, maybe not. It depends, right? There's like family farmlands, things like that.
Would
Um,
you tax it on the value? Like, what would be the mechanism of the tax?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, in terms of equities, yeah, pass tax on value.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, certainly. I think, that's one of the primary drivers of the income inequality is the amount of stocks that people own. And we have to look at other things like, perhaps even like the artwork they purchase as well. So, you know, that's, that gets complicated.
Yeah.
Those are tax havens. If they own multiple properties, um, that's I think like the second, third properties, or if they even own more than that, I think we should consider that as well.
Right. Okay. Awesome. All right. Number six, kind of along the lines of what we are just talking about, but the candidate of our dreams bans stock buybacks. And by stock buybacks,
Mm.
I mean the practice of a corporation buying back its own stock.
Yes, I definitely oppose that. I think that only became legal, I think, in the 1980s,
After
and
Reagan. Yep.
right, yeah. So
Our buddy Reagan.
so there, I mean, people understood like, okay, this creates this creates bad incentives, right? Like,
Right.
okay, you're not gonna invest. Like the leadership, they get a lot of stock compensation, and so they're less likely inclined to invest in their employees,
Right.
to growth, to sustainability, whatever good thing out there that costs a little bit extra money. And if they do stock buybacks, that's less. That reduces the market capitalization, and your stock value goes up, and they become richer. So yeah, let's end that.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Number seven, invest in a robust, nimble, and strategic administrative state. And this is my personal favorite, so I might actually fight you if you disagree with me on it. So,
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Okay, so a little background about me. I worked for the Department of Education previously, not directly, but for a contract with them.
Mhm.
I worked for the National Center of Educational Statistics, and I'll just say one of the best things that the government does is provides data
Thank
for
you. Thank you. Okay, hold on. Let me just double click on that. People, I cannot emphasize enough that we are the envy of the entire planet for our data collection, or we were until this man went into office and destroyed it all. Like, and we can be again. It's not completely ruined, but like we are literally the crown jewel of
Mm,
data of all kinds.
I love it.
And it is so infuriating to listen to like Elon Musk and the idiots around
Yeah,
him talk about how it's all a waste or whatever. I cannot tell you how much the US has advanced all sorts of
yeah,
things across the planet because of
yeah,
our data. Okay,
yeah.
keep going. Sorry, I just had to like
No,
I
I'm
love data.
so excited that you're excited. That's amazing.
You literally
Yeah.
found my
So
favorite thing. So, it's
I
fine.
didn't know that was your favorite
Yes,
thing.
data.
Okay. So have you ever read the book the Fifth Risk? I think.
The I don't think so.
Yeah, it's by Michael Lewis. So yeah, okay. So I love this book. It is about government and what the government does.
Right.
So this is, I mean, this guy wrote Moneyball, which is it kind of, you know what I'm talking about, right? It helped
Yes, yes, I've heard of it.
explain how the Oakland A's were able to win with such a small budget. Like a lot, got into a lot of statistics, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So the fifth risk was about the government, like the function of the government. One funny anecdote from the fifth risk is that every time there's a new administration, they're supposed to send a representative to each department and learn how the department works and get all that information. And the first time Trump went into office, he didn't send anyone to
Of
any of the departments.
course not.
So
Yeah,
you can imagine, yeah, you can imagine how that went. So for me, I worked for the Department of Education, and I was dosed,
yeah,
so unfortunately, but it actually gives me more time to canvas, to run my campaign. So there's like silver lining there.
right.
Um, but the programs that were cut was international testing, right? So now we're not going to know our test scores compared to other countries.
Yeah. 'Cause
Like
why would we wanna know
why would we
what
want to know that,
we're
right?
doing that? Right.
Yeah. So that's cut, and I also work for the National Assessment of Educational Progress, um, and they do a lot of good work. This is a test that measures how the country is doing
Right.
without being a high stakes test. And in fact, the students that take it, they are anonymous,
Right.
and they do a sampling of different demographic groups, and this allows them to figure out why who's struggling, and they try to figure out why people are struggling too.
Right.
But it's data to help us make our education better, right? What we talked about earlier, the data, and this is so important. And I've seen it up close, and we had some wonderful people at the National Center of Educational Statistics,
Mhm.
and yeah, and they're gone. And if even if we have a new administration um, that that wants to bring these things back, it's going to be a struggle because we lost a lot of institutional knowledge during that time. So, well, it's I mean it's a shame, but it's something that I'm aware of, and I want to support. Once we get into office.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that we all the candidates of our dreams, you and everybody else, needs to be making a hit list of all of the things that have broken so that it can be, like,
Yeah.
getting you back in and saying, like, "Here's what we're gonna fix day by day." I feel like someone needs to create a website or something of, like, things to fix,
I'll be
.com.
on that website all the
Someone
time.
steal that idea from me and do it. Okay. We're almost there. Number 8, the candidate of our dreams advances universal health care and education. I feel like I know where you land on this one, but please elaborate.
Yeah, so I support universal healthcare.
Yay!
It's been on my wall for, I don't know, 6 years or so. But yeah, I was a Bernie Sanders delegate, so
Right.
actually sometimes, sometimes the society we live in, it kind of traps our mind into not realizing what's possible. Um, so I was not like totally on board actually. when Bernie was talking about it, and I really credit him for expanding our minds and pulling us towards that direction. But it was kind of weird because my parents are from Taiwan, and
Mm.
sometimes they would go back to Taiwan, or sometimes their family friends I hear they would go back to Taiwan and they would
Uh-huh.
get some
Right.
medical work done there
Yeah.
because Taiwan has universal healthcare. Like
Uh-huh.
every developed country in the world has universal healthcare. So,
Mhm.
and also, we know that we actually know that it is that universal healthcare is cheaper than what we have right now because of all the administrative costs, the executive pay, the stocks, all that. Um, and it would help a lot of small businesses, right? Small businesses, big expense is usually healthcare. Like I just remember in Taiwan, like all these small businesses are doing well, and like these food vendors and all these, we have such great food in Taiwan. Everyone should go
Yes.
visit. Um, but yeah, and I think actually it's kind of funny. I think like universal healthcare might contribute to the good food out there. So it's so many good benefits for it. You know, Sometimes people change jobs for a couple of months. They don't have healthcare. People are 26, turning 27. They're scared to lose their healthcare
Yep.
because of what the ACA provided. One of the good things from the ACA. So yeah, you can say I'm a supporter.
Okay, amazing. Any thoughts about universal education or universal childcare, like anything
Yeah.
like that?
Oh, I support. Well, I support all that.
Okay.
So like, well, California that they had the free public schooling when before Reagan was
Yep.
there, back to Reagan. New York was, they were more subsidized in the past. I think we need to expand opportunities for, that means opening new universities, or, I think that's important because, so many people are graduating, like our population keeps getting larger. But I also definitely support like free trade schools. So I think that's really important as well. And that I might even support that a bit more, just because we need those type of workers, and that's I think manufacturing and that type of thing should be the backbone um, of our country and our economy. So yeah, those are two things I support. Oh, universal childhood care, I support that as well. Let's support families with children. People want to go out to work. Um, I think the caring economy is a very important industry, and also like the people who actually do the care, like they are immensely underpaid.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like there's a lot of either private equity sometimes is squeezing the other circumstances as well. So we have to make sure that they get paid well. Um, and other countries like France, they figure it out. Like we can figure it out too.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much for touching on that. All right. The last one. The candidate of our dreams commits to multilateral, non interventionist foreign policy.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I'm very anti-imperialist. Um, I am against war with Venezuela. I think Pete Hegseth should have been impeached.
Mhm.
Um, and we have found that Pallone, like the current representative, Frank Pallone, like his office was not very interested in impeachment
Mhm.
at this time. I think who knows why? Like the leadership is trying to like I think keep their heads low and wait it out until the next election. Whatever reason they have for doing that. But I think those were war crimes, bombing those ships in the sea.
Mhm.
Um, and I think Venezuela has the most oil reserves in the world, more
Right.
than Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, we know why.
Um, yeah, and it's crazy. Like, oh no, we don't want China to have it. The oil, right? They're using that kind of talk. But
Yes.
now they're selling it to China. So so
Yeah, no, actually, everything that we have done so far, foreign policy wise, has actually chased every country into the arms of China. It is insane how we have been saying, oh, it's so that they don't, like, sell to China or support China or like economically China
yeah,
doesn't get ahead of us. And I'm like, well, literally everything we've done, Europe is running to China.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
all of
No, it's
Latin
crazy.
America is running to China. They are all Canada. Mark Carney was literally just invasion. Like, it's like that whole line of reasoning, I'm like, well, if that was your goal, F minus minus minus, like you have literally failed like in the entirety of it. It's a pretense, right, for being imperialistic as you were saying, but it truly is like you've done the exact opposite of
Yeah.
what you set out to do. So, congratulations, I guess.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I saw a map today where like which countries had embassies and which where U.S. had embassies and where China had embassies, and we're lagging behind. Like
Mhm.
there's so many countries that we're not having good
Yeah,
relations with, having representatives there. So
right.
it is very scary. Another thing is I am very against the war with Iran, and
Mhm.
there's talk about that coming up right now.
Yep,
And Iran is 5 times the size of Iraq, something like that.
yep,
Um, we did using the CIA, we did help overthrow
yep.
the government, the secular government in Iran.
Yep.
I think in the '60s.
In the
Um,
50s and then in the 70s. So, we started
okay,
in the 50s, and then in the 70s, we finished it up. So,
this
yeah,
is yeah, no
yeah,
hard. Like we have the history of that, and
right.
it always ends badly.
Yep.
I marched with like 1 million people in New York City against the Iraq War, and it was actually a shock that so many Democrats voted for it. I mean, I guess I was surprised. I was young and naive, so it seemed clear that war was about oil, right? And same thing with Iran. Like there's a oil is usually top on the list, and I just hate that, and the cost of lives and the cost of the U.S. Standing in the world. I think that's really bad. Um, Back, I don't know how much I should talk about the incumbent, but when when the U.S. bombed Iran,
Mhm.
um, like there was a movement to impeach, and he voted to table that
Yeah.
because he actually, I think, because of his support for Israel, I think he's supporting the invasion of Iran as well, or he won't. He certainly won't oppose it.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's a
There
bad situation.
the Iran issue is, you know, maybe it's about oil. I'm sure that's part of it. I from where I'm sitting and like how I've been watching this unfold, it seems more like it's about just keeping the Middle East in general in line,
Mm,
right? Like it's more about being
yeah.
like, remember, we could take you out, and like kind of just being it's more about being the enforcer. It has a lot less to do with commodities. I think Venezuela was
Mm,
absolutely about commodities, while also I think sending a message to Latin America. But I think
mhm,
it's more so about sending a message in Iran because of like we have Saudi Arabia and UAE and Qatar and like all of the other places from which we have immense sources of wealth and oil and whatever. But there's always like I feel like the US has always treated that as like we need to remind everybody every once in a while of like who's the boss, which is grotesque, by the way. I'm not saying that any of this is right. I'm just saying that that seems to be the attitude that we take with the Middle East. And it's gross. So,
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. No, I think it's horrible. I think over toppling the government in Libya a
Hmm.
couple of years ago. I think that was part of it because they were trying to you know help themselves economically.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm totally on board.
All right. You're like, we need to be done with this. So we are at you have passed the gauntlet of the 9 points of the candidates of our dreams. And I think you've done so admirably. What would you like to do for if New Jersey puts you in this seat? What would you like to do for New Jersey, why can't I speak? New Jersey 6, specifically for your district? Like, what is it that
Yeah.
the constituents are telling you they need?
Well, there's a couple of things. So ICE, they've been
Mm,
active in our district, right? So I've been to an ICE raid in my own town
mhm.
to observe, and it was one of the worst things I've seen.
Yeah.
They're you know, there was a girl that came, and a little young girl, and she was just crying and just wailing, and she's just so worried about her relatives inside. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was horrific. Uh, there have been um, other raids throughout the district. A couple people who had work permits that were well-known members of the community. And they, I think, so. I think because they were well-known people in the community, like they were able to get that public pressure to get them released, and they had the work permits. So I'm really concerned about the people who are like more
Right.
invisible, right? And there are a lot of them. And I do go to a church, the Reformed Church in Highland Park, and they do a lot of work with refugees and immigrants, and they've
Mhm.
done that um, through many years. So that's why I've heard these stories so many times. So it's certainly impacting our district quite a bit. Our the incumbent does not support abolishing ICE, and we actually we actually made fun of him because he sent out an email about 3 weeks ago, asking if we should impeach Kristi Noem. Like he asked like the constituents if we should do that, and everyone was shocked. They're like, "Well, you should know the answer. Why are you asking us?" And okay, this is really weird.
I mean, it's kind of a sign, I guess. But yeah, like it shows you just how much I think establishment on both in both parties is realizing like, oh, the game is different. Like
Yeah,
the rules have changed. Because
yeah,
I think several of them, even up until the end of 2025, were kind of thinking like, oh, we'll be able to get back to the standard play after this. And I'm very proud of We the People right now because I think we are in the midst
I'm
of a
pretty.
huge shift of being like, absolutely not. The rules of engagement have changed. And they have
Yeah,
changed where you answer to us for real. Like, we're gonna sit here and make sure you do your jobs.
yeah,
As I say, gentle parenting people into doing their jobs sometimes. Um,
yeah. I love and to continue with your question. I've been to every mosque in our district. There's about a dozen of them. Um, and sometimes they let me speak at their Friday prayers, which was amazing.
mm,
Ramadan just started. I was at a crescent lighting this past Monday, and I was able to speak there as well. So I've become pretty connected with the Muslim population here, which we have a large population.
mhm,
Um, and they know where I stand on Gaza. So that's always a big issue. But despite that, you know, today I was at Andy Kim. Uh, Andy Kim, he's the senator in New Jersey,
yep,
at an Andy Kim town hall, and he was having the town hall in my district. So I was like, okay, I should go. But I was just talking to people outside, and I lead with Gaza and I lead with ICE, and everyone was supportive. Like dozens of people were supportive, and a good number knew where Pallone stood on these issues,
what?
and they're very supportive. They signed my petition, everything. Only two people were supportive of Pallone, and she said to me, "Oh, we've known Pallone forever, and we also know his father, so
Right.
we have to." Yeah, so that was kind of funny. I thought that was kind of funny, but
I mean, it happens. Like it's part of and you can get some votes with that, but you can't win a district with that. So, yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the thing.
I think if we talk to everyone, I think we win.
Yeah.
Like that's the challenge, right? Um, Besides that, a little bit some things that are less serious. So we have a shore town. We're not the
Mm.
we're, we're not we're not the stereotypical Jersey Shore. We have some awesome towns, very progressive, very progressive towns. Asbury Park has a awesome music scene. Like Bruce Springsteen will play there in the summer, and just it's just a great place.
Right.
Um, and so we have the beaches, and one thing with the beaches is like they always require sand replacement. It costs millions of dollars in federal money.
Mhm. Yep.
So I think I'm very environmental, so I want to have more sustainability. Like I talk to environmentalists, right? Like you have to learn from others, and they're saying like there's better ways to maintain the beaches and keep the sand. Like there's natural ways, and there's
Mhm.
that can put up that type of thing, so that we don't have to keep replacing the sand. And that goes back to actually FDR. I do believe in the New Deal, but a better New Deal.
Mhm.
Uh, but like one agency I would like to see is the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, right?
Yes.
So this group. I would like to expand that and help them, um, make the coast more resilient, plant more trees, make things more sustainable. Oh yes, Asbury Park does rock. And then and actually we have, I don't know if you know this. There's a fruit. It's called a pawpaw,
Yeah.
and so I want to bring that back. It's a indigenous fruit. It tastes like mango or banana. It's really great, and maybe have a festival in the fall. I know that's a little crazy, but that's kind of like something
Yeah.
up there.
I love hearing about things that are like, okay, yeah, everything's kind of shit and we have a lot of things to fix, but also can we have like this indigenous fruit and fix our beaches in a sustainable way? Like that would be nice. Like,
It'd be nice.
and those are things that you should also be concerned about. So I love all of that. Amazing. John, we are nearing the end of our time and you've been very generous with your time tonight. So thank you. How can people support you? Where can they find you? What do you need from them? You just said like we need to reach everybody. And in New Jersey 6, it's going to be about the primary, right? It's going to be about whoever selected on the primary ticket for the Democrats because it's unlikely that it would go red, unless something crazy happened, right? So
But,
your election is in June, basically. And so what do you need from people between now and then? And what are the plans? I know you were talking earlier about wishing there was ranked choice voting, which I agree with because of the fact that you're going to have a three-way primary. And two of you are working very, very hard on your campaigns. So what is it that you're asking for from the people between now and June?
yeah. So the best way to connect with us is to follow our Instagram, John Shoot for Congress, and I will have to warn you: if you follow, you might get a message from our volunteers. We have 4 or 5 volunteers just reaching out to everyone, which is really great. You can follow our website, johnshootforcongress.com. Fill out our form. Get in touch with us that way. If you're in the district, we would love to meet with you and get your petition signature and get your support and try to earn your support. Um, if you're not in the district, if you know people in our district, that'll be great too. Let us know. But if you are far away, there's phone banking. You can donate. Please donate. I do love that all our donations are so local, but if it's across the country, we're not going to say no to that.
Not gonna say no to
Um,
that. No.
yeah. so, so there's a lot of ways to contribute. I do appreciate like the people in New Jersey, but also people across the country as well. Everyone who's listening, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, and you're June 2nd, right? Is the primary date again? Fantastic.
Yes,
There's a whole slew of
June.
that happening. All right. So June 2nd is the primary date, and it's like May something is the registration deadline. I will, as always, when I send out this full recording, I will send a link to all of the things of John's, all his campaign pages and socials and whatever. And then I will also send the election dates, like what are the registration deadlines and the primary deadlines and the general deadlines and like all this kind of stuff. But we all need to make a plan to vote. We all need to make a plan to get others to vote and to help others vote who might be scared to vote in these primaries and in these elections, especially in blue districts because of this stuff. So we do not cower in fear. We stand up and say, "Yeah, make me," and that's the energy that we're going to bring to all of this. So I will send all of these things out. Please, again, as I said earlier, if you are in a comfy district and you are happy with your rep and your race and whatever, you feel like everything's great, that's so fantastic for you. I really need you to plug into a different race. So if you love John for New Jersey 6, then you need to get involved in this race and make it happen. But find a district that needs your efforts and plug in yours first, always yours first. But then once you're happy with yours, do something somewhere else. This democracy, this republic is a group project. There are no spectators allowed because the spectators are not helping anything. John, thank you so much for a great interview this evening and best of luck with your race. I will definitely be following closely. And let's get some progressivism for New Jersey 6.
All right, let's go. Thank you,
Uh,
Kate.
of course. Have a great night.
Have a good night. Bye.